W's and L's, the weekly recap show where we give a dub to the things that we like and the L's to the things that we don't. It is on you, my friend.
Let's start with some positivity because I've had a lot of it today.
Oh, look at you.
Well, an equal amount. I'm giving a dub to Tom Cruise for his petty.
Oh, okay. All right.
For his
we like petty.
We all know that Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, I believe this is called, coming out in July. Guess what is going to take a nice, healthy chunk out of the first 3-week run of Indy, Dial of Destiny?
Is there a Mission Impossible movie coming out?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Part one of the last saga for Ethan Hunt, coming out in week 2.
Oh my god.
In week 2 of Dial of Destiny's run, theatrical run. The reason why I find this so pointed and really honestly very just deliciously petty is because Variety, I think it was, recently wrote up a piece featuring Steven Spielberg talking about, how much he loved Dial of Destiny. And they really it might have been Deadline actually who did this, but they the way that they played it up, you would have thought that Steven Spielberg said that this was the greatest movie ever. It was the greatest indie film ever. I couldn't have done better myself. What he said was, because he was at a screener with a bunch of other Disney executives, what he actually said out of his mouth was, "I'm very proud of the director, and they all seem to like it." Those were his actual words. They all seem to like it, is what he said. At a screener for Disney executives. Of fucking course they loved it. Of course they loved it. But I find it so funny that Tom Cruise reads that and is like, yeah, we're going to come out in week 2 of that. we're just gonna come out in week 2 of that and try to blow it up. It's ballsy because if it's all that successful, it could drown you out. It could hurt your initial weekend numbers if people are still going to see Indy.
Yeah,
that is a supreme level of confidence. I've heard all I need to hear about this movie, and we are going to take a gigantic dump on it. Thank you.
I think he can too. I mean, it doesn't seem like that movie is like
Mission Impossible versus a Kathleen Kennedy production. Come on, man. Come on. That handicap is vicious. Oh my god.
Yikes.
Another dub out to my man, latest recruit in the Michigan recruiting class, taking us to number 1 in the 24/7 composite ranking, Mr. Jake Guanera, center, big dog.
Who?
Our 5th offensive lineman committed this cycle. I think we're going to take 6. We got one more spot. I don't know if it's going to be Bennett Warren or I don't know if it's going to be the number 1 tackle in the country and Brandon Baker. But somebody's going to get it.
If he wants to get to the NFL, he should probably come to us. I'm
Yeah,
sure we haven't
what if
offered
he
him, but
wants to stay there though?
hey,
There we
you
go.
don't have to get paid. That's what we do over here. You know what
I mean, hey, look, man. The facade is starting to wear thin. It was like, oh, you guys might be beating us on the field, but we still get all these 5-star recruits. Ooh.
We do.
Oh, you guys are beating us on the field, but we still send guys in the first round NFL draft.
What we do though?
Yes, you do. But that was a better sting when we weren't also doing it. It was a better argument for you to say, yeah, you beat us on the field, but we got recruiting when we weren't bringing in 5-star quarterbacks.
That's fair.
Right? When we weren't having the fastest player in the draft and also the strongest player in the draft.
It remains
7 total players drafted.
It remains to be seen if you can develop them into
all of that shit sounds great. All of that shit sounds great until we start chinking at that armor. Because we're already beating you. Like we didn't need it to beat you, and now we have it. So now we've really just about to fucking.
Hey man, That sounds good if you can, develop those players in the top 10 picks, but
Oh, you mean like Aiden Hutchinson?
okay, fair. And do it consistently.
Well, we'll have potentially 3 cracks at it next year. Maybe 4 if Brayden McGregor takes off for a top 10 pick. You'll have, yeah, you'll have Donovan, you'll have Blake, you'll have JJ, and you'll probably have Brayden McGregor.
That is fair. That's fair. But you know what we're coming with. The number 2 pick. He's probably not going to get drafted over Caleb Williams, but the number 2 pick for sure.
Who are you talking about?
Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Okay, if he has a good year, because we were literally just saying that about Jackson Smith and Jigba last year. And did that boy go top 10?
Fair.
Okay.
But then at that point, I can say the same thing about
if your boy don't hop in the portal and go to USC.
That's not happening. That's not happening. But okay. Fair enough. We'll see.
My last dub is going out to Tamora Robinson, the quintessential Boba Fett. The voice of Boba Fett, the actual Boba Fett actor, beloved Star Wars actor, and just all-around honest person. Was at CinemaCon in New Zealand. It was either New Zealand or Australia. Where he gets asked about the book of Boba Fett and the intrusion of Din Djarin into that story. And so he's talking candidly, and, the reports is that it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also everything he's saying sounds completely accurate. He goes, man, that guy kind of stole my show. Yeah. And it was cool to watch him, glow up with this new dark saber, and I'm getting my ass kicked. And I was like, man, he's kind of doing better than me. Yeah. Yeah. It's just hard for me to think that he would say something like that, and then us knowing what actually happened, and he not actually mean it. So yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. But the biggest revelation that came out of that interview is that he was under the impression he was going to be in season 3 of The Mandalorian, which since goddamn Mandalorian got 2 episodes in Book of Boba Fett, you really would think that was the plan, right? Like, it's only fair kind of thing. Only there's no Boba Fett in this series. He never got a call. Never got a call to come in. There's a lot of stinky stuff going on at Lucasfilm. You know that they said that those episodes, the episodes where Grogu is coming back and Din Djarin is injected, that Dave Filoni shot a lot of that stuff without Favreau knowing. So the episode just shot there in post-production and just like, yo, what? Grogu? What the fuck? What? Huh? No, that's not what we're doing. It, like, honestly, if you follow this plot leak, man, it's a deep dark hole, which ends up with them thinking the most heinous thing of it all was using the Gina Carano thing kind of as like a cover, because that series was supposed to star Luke Skywalker. Apparently, is what they're saying. So with doing away with Cara Dune, the Cara Dune character, and scrapping that project, the Old Republic project that they had going with her, that effectively derailed Favreau's plans. It wasn't so much of, Gina Carano and her anti-vax stance. It was, she's a key part in what Favreau's building to lead us back to Luke. And I don't want to go to Luke. Luke is a cobweb character, so we're going to screw all that up. It really is a rabbit hole. I don't know how much of it I'm on board with. I know a lot of it is lining up with what we actually see, which tends to make me believe it. But man, as I said in Behind the Cape, it stinks at Lucasfilm right now, for sure. Let's get to my L's. I got one going out to Mr. Steven Crowder. Yikes. Boy, can't think of a bigger loser in America at the current moment. After going through a weird little back and forth with Candace Owens over what he called extortion, and then Candace Owens is telling us about a time that Crowder tried to get in her DMs and she didn't respond, and that's why he attacks the Daily Wire now, and it's a whole bunch of bullshit. That part of it I'm not very much interested in. What I am interested in is that she played a video because apparently she reached out to Steven Crowder's wife, or now soon to be ex-wife, to have her talk about Steven Crowder a little bit and his character. And apparently she sent her some ring cam footage of an argument that's going on between them while she is very much pregnant, like 7-8 months pregnant. Ooh. And it's like what they're arguing over is like, okay, it sounds like she's trying to go to the grocery store and it's during the pandemic, so like he's on lockdown. He's like, oh well, you can't just leave me here. And like it seems like it would kind of be an easy solution, like either you take an Uber or just, you know, kind of just let it go and don't let this down the hill. But like it continuously starts escalating to the point where he tells her that she's not worthy of being a wife and that he doesn't love her. It honestly just looks really bad. And then when they go into the house, there's some parts of it that's inaudible. But apparently he himself has confirmed that he told his wife to shut the F up. So like, nothing criminal, but surely makes him look like an asshole and probably not the best thing for Steven Crowder at the moment. So,
and verbally abusive, especially while his wife is 7 to 8 months pregnant. So even if it's not illegal, it's your dog shit.
I mean, like, she was trying to leave, and he just kept badgering her. It was like, well, it was doing that whole, like, alpha male bullshit. Like, commitment, put on the gloves. Put on the gloves and walk the dogs. It was really weird. It was like, do you want her not to leave? Do you want her to walk the dogs? What's going on with these gloves? I really didn't understand the conversation, but it was all tracking back to her not being disciplined enough to love him. And, you know, it was all disingenuous because she wouldn't do everything he says while she was saying that she loved him. It was a very odd conversation, honestly. It was like watching in real life one of these dudes that preach that alpha bullshit try to operate that with an actual living, breathing, normal female, you know? And it goes about as well as you think it would.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, that was Steven Crowder.
Gross.
Mr. Don Lemon and Mr. Tucker Carlson are receiving a dual L today. We're both getting fired on their day off. On the same day. Yep. On the same damn day. Tell me again how, you know, advocacy, number one, but how advertising and spending money doesn't matter, and how Tucker Carlson is bulletproof and all this other stuff about how he's able to speak with impunity and how we shouldn't even engage with it because they put him out there to do it on purpose. It seems like maybe little Tucker got a little too far off the rails and got him into some deep, deep water with some people with some deep pockets.
You better believe that Dominion lawsuit caused this.
This is absolutely why he's out of here.
But then they got another lawsuit coming up that was going to probably be even more damning to him.
Even worse. Yeah, even worse. So, and it's unfortunate because it didn't happen for some of the things I would have wanted it to happen from.
Sure.
Right? Like calling black people and Mexicans dirty people. You know what I'm saying? The way he talked about the homeless crisis, the way he talked about immigration. Like, there's a lot that I would have rather Tucker Carlson get fired from. But fired is fired, so sayonara, sucker.
Facts.
And then Don Lemon, it's crazy how people came out and just was like pouring their heart out for Don Lemon. Because the Don Lemon I remembered wouldn't give Bernie or Marianne or even Elizabeth Warren the first time around the time of day. The Donnie I knew had his head so far up the establishment's ass that he couldn't see that he was being replaced on what should have been his network after Chris Cuomo left. When Chris Cuomo leaves, you are the longest tenured male anchor here. 17 years. You so far up the Biden administration's butt crack that you can't see the writing on the wall, fam. They took you off your show. They moved you onto a morning panel with multiple people. And then if you ever caught his segments on the new morning show, after they took him out of primetime. He's gotten very combative, and I think it's because he's used to running the show on his own and having producers that probably let him go a little bit more, give him a little bit longer leash, and that are not talking him through every segment and not sharing with another host and not having to deal with some of the more, fringy type of guests. When you're not doing primetime, you're not getting the best guest. You're not getting the senators. You're not getting the lobbyists. You're getting the fucking self-help guy. You're getting the PragerU guy. You know what I'm saying? And that probably gets annoying when you've been used to getting the heavy hitters, which honestly might have been a strategy. Let's throw him in this morning situation where he's absolutely not going to cut it because he's going to hate it, and then we'll have a reason to fire him for cause. Because he has gotten into a couple of back and forths that probably didn't paint CNN in the best light. And then, all honesty, I probably would have took a side for it. Except, I know who you really are, Don. I know who you have been when you were in CNN's favor. So I ain't doubling back now and oh, woe is me, now that you got yours. It was always coming to you. You was just the only one that didn't know it.
Facts. I guess the only problem that I really have is that both of them probably will find some other way to create content and get paid for it. So
Sure. Tucker will head over to Rumble. Don will get him a YouTube account. They'll make it. You know what I'm saying? They'll do all right.
Yeah.
You just fine. Shit, Don might get him another job.
It might be on BET Plus.
Tucker doesn't have too many other places to go. Like, where are you going to go? The Daily Wire? I mean, that's an option, I guess.
You can go the Joe Rogan route.
I don't think he's big enough internet-wise to do Joe Rogan. I don't think he's big enough to have a podcast and it be Joe Rogan style. Like, yeah, he can get 50,000 people to subscribe to a YouTube channel to watch him speak. Can he get 4 million? I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not 4 million.
Because the people who watch him get their entertainment off the Fatback TV.
Sure, but I think there's enough conservative content groups that'll at least give him a space to do so.
How popular are they?
Not
we
not
always
that
talk
popular
about
at
that.
all.
Like,
No.
you have these places where they're welcome, but how big are they? Fox News is the biggest conservative monument there is on the planet.
No, facts.
There is no bigger than Fox News.
Agreed.
So it's only down from there for him.
I would agree.
Don has he got some other avenues. He could do daytime television. He could do radio, probably.
BET Plus, TV1.
Okay, anyways. He has options.
Sure.
He could probably get in at another network. Man, I'm sure ABC would love to have Don Lemon.
Or he can go on OWN. Something black.
Last L. Going out to Designer. Man, that boy wildin'. That boy is wildin'.
Yeah.
So shout out to Bruce Rivers. He's a criminal lawyer, and he's gonna react to all the self-snitching. I watch a lot of his law breakdowns, and so he broke down this case and read some of the witness statements that were going on. So apparently, Designer is on a flight and just seated when a stewardess notices him rummaging in his pants. Right? She goes over there to him and tells him to stop. He stops. So then another stewardess goes by, sees him, got the whole peen out, like it's out, and he's masturbating. And it's like, okay, you need to stop, and you probably gonna talk to the police when we get down. So you need to chill. And Designer was like, get.
Bam.
So then they come back a third time, and this man got his shit out again for the third time. At which point they hand him this card that tells him that he's going to be arrested and he's going to be charged probably with a crime and blah, 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 blah. And so at that point he stops and he's not. Well, no, they asked him to get up and move. And I swear to God, Josh, this was in the report. When they asked him to get up and move, a jar of Vaseline falls on the seat. How fucking perfect is that? When he gets up, the fucking Vaseline, it falls on the damn seat. So then when he's being interviewed about it later on, they ask him, why did you continue to do it? He was like, I need to do it twice. One for the first stewardess, and the second one for her friend. God, Jesus, help designer.
I didn't hear any of the details. I heard he whipped it out or whatever, but like I didn't hear none of that.
Absolutely insane.
That's crazy.
When I was hearing it, I was thinking like, oh, he must have been drunk or drugged or some shit like that. He says he had an episode on tour, right? And that he got sent home for. He had to go to the hospital, and that they gave him medication. But then he tells the prosecutor that he didn't take it.
What?
I think it was Japan he was in. You in Japan. You got some foreign drugs, which is enough of an excuse for you to do some crazy shit as it is. And then you don't take the opportunity to say that you was on them crazy drugs while you was doing all this nonsense.
Because, bro, Kanye convinced him that he doesn't need to take his meds, bro.
Okay.
I'm telling you, bro. And on top of that, as bad as that sounds, still not the worst thing that one of these artists have done recently. So the watch me whip, watch me nay kid, wild the fuck out for like an entire 6 months or some shit. Crazy shit. He's shown something of his as well, and to a lot more people. We'll just start there.
Last one. Toss up. Let's talk a little bit about Jonathan Majors and the updates that are coming up there.
Yeah, I haven't been very updated, so.
So from the prosecution side, they have, or the judge has issued a restraining order, or order of protection is what they called it for the victim. I felt like that was pretty standard. Like the crime that's being alleged here is a domestic issue, and I feel like it would be pretty standard to order those people to stay away from each other until we kind of figure this shit out, right? Like I didn't feel like, but the way it was written, it's like, oh my God, she's been granted an order of protection against Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Order of protection is very standard, and yeah, they don't usually mean as much as people put into
like to make it out to be. Also, the whole thing about, oh, well, there are, alleged victims cooperating. Chill did a lot to kind of break that down to me, and how that literally could just be that they spoke to them about their history with Jonathan Majors. That doesn't mean that they're going to testify, because if they were, they would have said that. They would have said, key witnesses agree to testify in Jonathan Majors' trial, not former lovers of Jonathan Majors cooperating with the prosecutor. That cooperating means they asked you a question, you answered it. They asked you a question and you responded, be that through a lawyer or your own.
Yeah.
It just, the type of spin that's happening on right now seems very targeted. But apparently, did we already talk about the video?
I think we talked about it a little bit. And I know the video's not out still yet, but they have stills of it.
They showed a still image of it. What's interesting to me is I want to know where and what hand in terms of the injury, because there was one abrasion behind the ear is what they said. And what hand? Because if it's the left hand and it's the left ear, we can see that from the still image. No disrespect, but this lady is about as pale can get. Ain't gonna take a lot for some abrasions to show up. It's not one of them things where like I'm gonna have to look really hard for some abuse. I didn't see nothing, and her hand, I don't know, it wasn't really in the frame. But in terms of an abrasion behind the ear, that keep in mind now, they're claiming that they saw those injuries. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why all of this carried on. That they saw those injuries. Well, again, just a still image. I'll be very interested to see the whole video. But if we, from a layman's perspective, can't clearly see any injuries, do police officers have special eyes that other humans don't? Are you looking in a different light spectrum to find some sort of evidence or something? Are you Monica Rambeau? Because I sure as hell did not see an abrasion anywhere on that girl. I don't know, man. It's Spin City currently.
We'll see. We shall see.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Let me start off with my dubs. My first dub would probably explain why I don't know some of the news going on right now because I was spending time in New York. Also, why a couple videos haven't come out, but we're back. It was nice to be able to see some of the sights and things like that. Central Park, Harlem, fucking great food in Harlem. Didn't really get
Did you find the chopped cheese? I see you begging Manic to tell you where to get a chopped cheese.
I didn't get to meet up with Manic, and I didn't get my chopped cheese. And I didn't get a slice.
I don't know if look, also I'm not a pizza person. I just don't know if I'm gonna go to New York and eat pizza. I just don't know. I don't know.
You gotta have at least a slice. It's just like having a beignet from New Orleans.
It's like a beignet from New Orleans. First of all, it's not like a beignet, okay? They sell pizzas anywhere in America. They only sell beignets in New Orleans,
But they only sell New York style pizza in New York, so actually that's probably not true. It's probably not true, but whatever. Anyway, so shout out to New York. I'll probably go out there again sometime this year so I can see more of Queens and Brooklyn and some other places that I didn't get to see. But shout out to New York. Shout out to all of our squad homies if you are from New York. My next dub is going out to Kendrick Lamar. It turns out that his Big Steppers tour that he just had not too long ago, Big Steppers tour becomes the highest grossing tour by a rapper as a headlining act in history, grossing $110.9 million from almost 1 million tickets sold in 73 shows.
Wow.
So no Drake, no Hove, none of them.
That's put something else I heard over the weekend in perspective to me. So I was listening to Shaq Moss, of all people, for some reason, talking about, somebody asked him if he has his masters. And the way that he kind of like brushed it off was like, well, first of all, I didn't write a lot of probably the biggest hits, like from his younger days. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of that was JD. And then when I did start writing, I was touring so much, the touring money made more sense. But hearing that Kendrick set a record for an entire tour and made $100 million, that is completely off base because you can make a lot more than $100 million off of owning your masters, and your publishing for your music. So I don't know what the fuck Shaq was talking about. At first, it sounded very studious. It sounded like he had an inside scoop. Like, oh, you don't really need your masters. Just keep touring. First of all, touring is work. And if touring is your main source of income, that is not a retirement plan. There's no retirement plan on that. You know what I'm saying? You build your life around touring. You build your expenses around touring. When you stop touring, you go broke.
I hear that. I think Bow Wow was a tour hit with all those heartbreak tours.
No, he absolutely was, for
like
sure.
That. So that kind of makes sense. That kind of checks.
But that still is not a reason not to own your masters in retrospect. Sure. Like, fam, if even the songs that you did write, if you own those masters, you're going to be making money until you die. Touring money stops when you stop touring.
I can't remember the last time I heard Bounce With Me or Basketball, but
just because you ain't listening to it don't mean somebody else ain't.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Somebody else is listening to those songs. I don't know who, but somebody is listening to it.
He probably should have got his masters for Let Me Hold You Down and some of those other ones, though.
Let me hold you down.
Yikes. I knew you were a Bow Wow fan.
My arms, my mind, all the time I wanna. You right on my side till I die, I wanna.
You were actually at one of the tours, and we have photo evidence.
I was not.
And you met Bow Wow. So this makes sense.
I did not.
Just saying.
I'm like a romance supposed to. I'm trying to show you the life of somebody that you should be living. Oh, baby, baby, you can never go wrong.
Where's Tia when you need her to tell everybody how much of a fan you are? Because apparently he's your cousin, according to her.
First of all, is that part Bow Wow?
Sure. It's his song, though. It's a song, though.
Is that part that I was singing Bow Wow?
It's his song, though.
Did he make the...
No, he didn't.
No, thank you.
No, for sure. Anyway, on to my next dub. My next dub is going to Raven-Symoné. So, Ren from Even Stevens has a podcast where she has...
Annalisa Vanderpool.
Where she has guests like Chelsea from That's So Raven on.
Is that who that was? That was Ren that was asking her the question?
Yes.
Mind blown. I didn't even notice, fam. I recognized Chelsea, I absolutely did not recognize Ren. That's
Ren
crazy.
from Even Stevens was talking to Chelsea from That's So Raven. Yes. And Chelsea goes on to say that the show That's So Raven didn't even start off as That's So Raven.
They didn't even make it for.
Not only that, she wasn't supposed to even be the star. She was supposed to be the supporting actress for the show.
It was interesting. Of course she was a boss because she was working for so long since she was 3
That's
on the
true.
Cosby Show.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper and Orlando too. They were working. And I remember when I first auditioned, I don't know if you know this story.
I don't. Please tell me.
It's fascinating. But when I went into audition, the show was called Absolutely Psychic. It wasn't called That's So Raven at all. It was called Absolutely Psychic.
Okay.
And I think they were deciding, we're going to make it for cameras. We're going to make a sitcom.
Yeah.
And at the time, Raven wasn't the lead. She
What?
was the sidekick.
That's
And they
true.
were-
What?
Yes, they were looking for a lead. I came into audition for the lead. I think the character's name was Molly.
Okay.
And I auditioned, and a couple other people auditioned. I didn't get the part. Somebody else got the part. But when they filmed, they realized that Raven was the funniest one and had a following. And so they bumped her up to first position, and then they started auditioning people again. And I went into a big cattle call, and I finally got the part. I think the character's name was like Molly, then Emma, and then it became Chelsea. And I think that was kind of like racism at a low level, I guess, if that's even a possibility.
Okay.
They couldn't really see a black girl leading a show. They didn't even.
And not initially.
Yeah, they saw
Yeah.
her as a sidekick.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, how does this work? Because this is the same thing with Candace Owens to a certain degree. So you experience something extremely racist in the very early stages of your life. And you end up running so far away from the understanding of that racism as you possibly can be, right? Candace Owens is harassed by racist bigots to the point that her school district had to pay her a settlement of millions of dollars, which spearheaded her career into this fuck shit that she's doing now. All right, Raven. So if Chelsea is seeing it like that, there's no way you didn't see it like that.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
went in there to be a supporting character and ended up getting the lead because they forgot, God, by golly, she's just too good to leave as the whole or leave as the side character. They weren't even making the show for you.
Yep.
And that is not what you think of when you think of That's So Raven. You think, oh man, they had a black girl in the mid 2000s headlining their shows, the most popular thing on the channel.
Yeah.
Man, look at Disney. How progressive. Y'all didn't even set it up like that. You stumbled into it. You did it by mistake. They didn't think a black girl could lead it. Even though the longest running single character show sitcom like that by another black character prior to Raven was Jet Jackson.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Lee Jackson Young.
Lee Thompson Young.
The famous Jet Jackson, boy, that show ran for 6 seasons. But a black woman can't do that. Of course not. Yeah, I don't know how you go from that to beating the odds, literally overcoming racism within your profession, to I just see myself as a human. If you were just a human, then they would have picked you to do the show first. If you were just a human.
That's a fact. That is a fact. But
Chelsea invited to the cookout. I don't know about Raven.
You. I think that just comes down to the fact that maybe she didn't assume that it was race. She just assumed that she was so great.
But imagine that happening to you and you not even entertain race as being the factor.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Like, I come on, man. You was doomed from the start. There was no hope for you.
Facts. My last dub goes to something that happened 2 weeks ago, but I still feel like we should at least mention it. Big dub to Tank Davis.
Oh yeah. He made that boy Ryan quit. Made him quit. He said, hold on, wait. Oh, I got boo-boo.
So yeah, no, shout out to Tank. I'm glad he won that one, and he's had an opportunity to become the face of boxing, damn near.
Now go fight Haney. Then fight Shakur, and then we can hang it up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna give an L to Chance the Motherfucking Rapper.
That's the motherfucking rapper.
Now, obviously, it's another thing that we didn't get to talk about last week, but
Oh, because he was getting some twerk.
well, not
Man, I
because he
swear to
was
God,
getting some
boy.
twerk, but just because of the fact that he is Mr. I Love My Wife, and then now he's getting into public spats with his wife over getting twerk.
Well, first of all, I'm also a married man who's gotten some twerk from time to time. I don't think that's necessarily cheating, but also
agree.
that's your relationship to decide what that is for you. You know. Also, I don't know if it's a public spat as much as it is his wife for the first time seeing that people are like on her side and kind of using that and kind of like drumming it up. Like when it was all positive and it was all, oh, Chance, I love my wife, I love my wife. The furthest thing I heard out of her mouth was, oh, he's immature and he won't grow up. When it was, I ride a bike, I love my wife. Yeah, I did not hear that Chance was immature. I only heard that Chance was immature when he was getting some twerk on the internet and everybody blew it up. So, like, seems a little unfair that when he's destroying albums singing your praises through 12 tracks, it's okay. And he's perfectly mature enough. But he's not mature when he's at a festival getting some twerk. I don't appreciate that. And I'm sure he doesn't appreciate her doing it online.
Sure.
Because the one thing we for sure have never and probably will never see Chance do is publicly criticize his wife.
In an indirect way, I guess, kind of. He posted a little Bill Burr clip. And I guess it wasn't necessarily damning his wife, but it was speaking to the...
It wasn't what she wrote.
That's fair. That is fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. But to be Mr. I Love My Wife and to have a public spat where everybody can kind of see it.
You can love your wife and have a spat. You can love your wife and have a spat.
You can.
But it probably... It's not exactly like this, but it feels a little bit like the Derek Jackson thing. So, like, we all collectively went like, we knew that nigga was fake. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of them moments.
Sure. I guess I'm not blaming them for having the spat. I'm blaming them for knowing that social media will take something and spin it a certain way.
Sure.
My last L is going out to a show that I discuss every now and then, but I don't...
It's blind.
Yes. I know we have some people, squad homies, that watch the show. It's the only reason I'm really discussing it. So I guess Love is Blind has some very harsh working conditions on the show.
Like for the contestants?
Yeah. Like at some points they keep them up like really late and then obviously wake them up early to do the show. They don't have things like water as much as they have alcohol on set. So, like, alcohol is much more readily available than water is at some points.
Than water? They are literally trying to get these niggas dehydrated and drunk. Hell. So they will out there, they go out there and act like a fool. That's a starvation tactic.
Yeah. And so to the level of like I told you that the black couple was like one of the premier couples. Well, they had an issue like when they were in the pods or whatever, where the girl like fell asleep while the guy was talking. And I guess ultimately that may have been because they were kind of depriving her a little bit of sleep. And so like if they made it into this storyline, but like that's kind of their doing at the same time, which is nuts.
Yeah.
So I guess the hosts, Nick and Vanessa Lachey, are probably going to step down. They're probably going to have somebody else host it to give it a nice little facelift.
Nick Lachey is the host.
Nick Lachey basically runs reality shows on Netflix right now.
That is fucking insane.
Yeah. He's the guy behind it. So I don't know. L to them. I got 2 toss-ups. So the first toss-up is, I guess they're talking about possibly doing a versus between Kim and Nicki. And I don't know where I stand on that. I don't know. I guess it would be something that people would watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
it'll be another one of those break the internet moments. It'll be similar to Gucci Jeezy for sure.
I can see that. That's true.
It'll be similar. It may not get quite as big as numbers, but it'll be somewhere in that area.
Especially if they do things to hype it up and.
Oh, you know they are.
Yeah.
You know they are.
Yeah.
If that happens, not only are they doing shit in the run up, but they probably gonna talk a little bit of shit while they're there too.
Is Kim bringing out either Remy and or Cardi?
Ma'am, I sat up on here and I predicted that Soulja Boy was gonna bring out Romeo on a versus for Bow Wow. I predicted that shit. And he sure as hell did that shit. So I'm gonna put it. I'm going to rubber stamp not Cardi because they actually had some physical beef.
Fair
like
enough.
it, you know, blows were thrown on that one.
Fair.
But Remy? Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed.
Same.
A little bit disappointed.
Same. I agree. If that happens, if this whole thing even happens, I guess Swiss went on some interview and mentioned that it could happen. So we'll see. We'll see. Last toss up. So first of all, R.I.P. to Jerry Springer. I mean, just because he was something before the show.
Former mayor of Cincinnati.
Bingo. Should we not be saying R.I.P. to Jerry Springer because of the fact that his show kind of put black people in a bad light, even though it also put rednecks in a bad light?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to say rest in peace to a dead person. So I don't, I mean, you can surely have your opinions about his work for sure. Absolutely. I mean, he did what he did. So it's out there. It's for us now to judge him on. It is what it is. In terms of wishing him peace in the afterlife, I don't feel like there's much of a requirement for that other than not being a monster. And I would call Jerry Springer a lot of things, but I don't think he's a monster. I don't think he's a devout racist. He let the black dudes beat up the KKK on his show.
Facts. This is a fact.
He let the black dudes beat the shit out of the KKK on his show.
Facts.
So like, for every black baby mama in there with 6 men that she don't know is the father, there's a white little person jumping into the crowd with their shirt off. Or there's a truck driver and his wife and his sister, and he's trying to explain to his wife how his nephew is his son.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. It did kind of feel like it balanced out just a tad.
I would think so. And it just seems like there's a lot of dumbass Twitter posts about the fact that, y'all didn't say anything about Kevin Samuels, but now y'all out here saying R.I.P. to Jerry Springer. It's just like, man, chill out.
Definitely said R.I.P. to Kevin Samuels, too. Again, absolutely. It's not a very high bar to wish someone peace in the afterlife. Regardless of what you believe, they're dead. So, R.I.P.
I would agree. But, we live in social media era where, they're devoid of basic principles like that. So, I don't know. That's all I got.
Give us your thoughts on our dubs and nails. What you think? Give us your dubs and nails in the plot below, in the prompt below. Jesus. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next Wednesday for another Dubs and Nails segment.
Absolutely. And make sure that you check out our last Dubs and Nails where we discussed the Marvels and what we thought about the upcoming movie. And then also make sure you subscribe because, like he said, we like to do this every Wednesday at 10 o'clock.